So, Pete, the first thing we would do is we think there's some things that people should do to get their house in order before they begin their search. The first, obviously, is to get in the front of the line for unemployment if they're eligible.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's helpful. That helps them set a budget. And we are encouraging folks to set that emergency budget, talk to vendors and suppliers to see where they can get some relief. We find that with that, if they're in distress, it can be very difficult to focus on their job search.
Right.
We also recommend a not-for-profit, yourmoney101.org, that we use for all our staff. They don't sell products or anything. They just provide financial literacy. But we find that that's a really great thing to kind of get done first. Sure. Well, first off, most people don't have a budget template readily available.
Yeah, okay.
So you take a look at just some basics to see where you can cut back temporarily. That is very, very helpful so you're not starting from scratch. I think it's important for folks to take a little time to work through maybe what happened in their last job.
Mm-hmm.
Folks can show up for interviews upset, and that does not help them put their best foot forward with a new role. So talk to a friend, a mentor, work with a career coach. And again, if anybody needs help, just Google Placer's Act of Kindness, and we're here to help them for free if they just want to talk through that. The next thing I suggest they do is talk to their past references, get that list refreshed, make sure people know that you're active in your job search, talk to maybe your last place of business to see if there'll be a reference for you.
And in terms of the Placers offering, we'll definitely mention that toward the end here, because I think that's just a wonderful thing for you folks to do. What about, people always talk about, updating your resume. What does that actually entail? What do people need to be thinking about while they're doing that?
Well, first thing is that the great thing with the Internet is there are wonderful templates. And if your alma mater, your college, job boards, third parties, even Google has a template that they provide. So there's lots of videos and things that if you need a suggestion or a template to use. But I find that the number one thing that people need to think about is updating their most recent work history. For each job, most people list tasks or they list their duties. But I find that the average person struggles to brag, struggles to list their accomplishments. So I always ask people, what did you accomplish in your time in that role that an interview should ask you about? So getting some help to really put down maybe what was uniquely yours in that job.
So instead of the bullet points, maybe expand on that and talk to the answer to that question you just asked. Maybe have that as part of a paragraph within your resume, as opposed to just the standard, my duties included blah, 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 blah.
I think that's the key. That's how you can stand out. And honestly, work with someone else. Work with anyone, because we just struggle to brag. We think it's hard to do, but if someone can help extract that and kind of pull that out of you, that's really what an interviewer wants to know. What's unique about you and what you accomplished in your last job?
Yeah. The other challenge here, Chris, is you have people that are without work. Maybe they've not been in this situation before, and their inclination is to just start rapid firing resumes out, which probably means they're not spending the kind of time that you're talking to on those resumes, and you almost forget, hey, this is this potential employer's first look at you.
It's absolutely true, and there's nothing that hurts your job search more than receiving a resume that has a gap in employment, has a typo, doesn't tell a clear story of why you're available or why you're applying for a job. So, yes, taking the time to do it right is critical if you're only going to get maybe 30 seconds to have someone look at your resume.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You touched on this a little bit. Networking, reaching out, reaching back, wherever you have people that that might be able to point you in a direction. Networking, what's a good way to go about that right now?
A lot of folks struggle with this. The first thing I recommend is make a list of everyone that you know that you admire or that maybe said, come see you if you ever need a favor. And then reach out to them. And, of course, in today's world, you're going to have what I would call a virtual coffee clutch. So your goal is never to ask for a job, but it's better to reach out and you can find out about them, their career, the company they work at, the industry, And basically, it's a chance to learn all you can about that industry and that company so that you know a little bit more. And then ask that person for help of who else they might suggest that you have coffee with. At the very least, the person might be impressed by your questions and your background. If you like the company, it's a great way to maybe put your name in the hat if they do have openings.
Yeah, great stuff. Go ahead.
There are also, there's so many virtual networking events through chambers of commerce, through associations specific to your trade or industry. Sometimes that's not easy for people, but there's all kinds of things if you don't mind spending time on camera.
Chris Burkhard is with Placer Staffing Newark. And, before we hang up here, I call it your pro bono project. I don't know what you label it exactly, but talk about the way you're helping some folks out who are in a tough position right now.
So everybody's trying to figure out how they can help one another in the community. And we spent a lot of years helping people, find jobs and with the job search process. So we've decided we call it our Placers Act of Kindness Plan. So any Delawarean who needs help with a resume, with leads for jobs, needs help preparing for an interview, anything that you could think of related to their job search process, we'll just have a recruiter that will help you. And, of course, it is pro bono. So I like the way you say that.
Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing in Newark.